Hey, I'm Lise Colucci, and I am one of the life coaches over at QueenBeeing.com, where we help you with everything related to narcissists and any understanding or learning that you may need to help you heal from one. So I'm sorry, I keep moving this camera because I got my camera in a funny spot. All right, there we go. We're going to get started. We're going to talk about cognitive dissonance. What is cognitive dissonance? Why does it happen? What can you do about it? All of that. Before we get started, hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up, all that stuff. Let's just jump in and talk about this. So, what is cognitive dissonance? Cognitive dissonance is it's that brain fog you feel, the confusion that you feel when you have been in a situation where you've been emotionally manipulated. Okay? It is your head and your heart conflicting with conflicting ideas, with conflicting beliefs, with conflicting thoughts. It's a confused state where you may feel one thing and think another. Okay. It is like, okay, I said it's like a hazy, unreal feeling that makes you doubt your own reality and also have two different realities going on at the same time. In other words, people all the time they want to be able to leave a narcissist, okay, and as they're leaving, or if they've gone no contact or whatever, their mind is saying, I know this is good for me, I know that I cannot have this person in my life, I don't want a toxic person around, this is a really bad situation, I need to stay out of it. Another part of their mind, I like to say it's their thinking mind versus their feeling mind, right? So their feeling mind, their feelings, their emotions, but the part of their mind that talks to their emotions is saying, are you sure they're toxic? Oh my gosh, but I love them so much. There's got to be hope, right? Anyone can change, right? If only I loved them a little bit harder, if only I did a little bit more. And at the same time, the other part of your mind is saying, yeah, you did all that. Remember, we did all that. But it's not an argument back and forth like on one shoulder you've got reason and on the other shoulder you've got feelings. It is literally two parts of your mind screaming two different things at the same time. And a lot of people, what happens is you freeze and you shut down. Okay, and you shut down and you're unable to make decisions, and so the easiest decisions made, which is very often fall for the hoover, fall for the lies, fall for the gaslighting, just ignore it because it'll get better for a little while, right, for about 5 minutes, and then the cycle will continue of the narcissistic manipulation that they've been doing the whole time. So um so that is kind of in a nutshell what cognitive dissonance is like. um let's see, what did I say here? I said, your mind will justify. So part of your mind will be justifying when you're in a state of cognitive dissonance. Your part of your mind is justifying the thing that just happened that doesn't seem right. You are unable to accept the feelings that you have, the negative ones, the ones that say this isn't right for you, as the reality, because the other feelings of the good feelings feel like a better reality, right? And it's not that you're stupid, it's not that you don't get it, it's not that there's anything wrong with you. This is brought about by a manipulation, okay? And it happens all the time to all kinds of people. So don't think there's something wrong with you or you're not smart enough or you're not good enough. If you feel this confusion, it's completely normal in a situation when you're dealing with a narcissist. And let's talk about why. Um, so let's first of all let me define cognitive dissonance real quick. Just break down the words. Cognitive. Basically, cognitive comes from the Latin word for known. So it's your knowing. When we're talking about something cognitively, we're talking about what we know. Okay, we're know what we know. It's a knowing. Dissonance is a tension from a clash of disharmonious elements, meaning it's a tension between two things that can't be in harmony. Your head knows one thing, you're being gaslit and told something else. There's a total disharmony going on. And that is where the term, like what it actually means, right? So we have a disharmony between our thinking head and our feeling mind, our thinking mind and our feeling mind, right? Totally clashing. And How can we think straight when that's going on? How can anyone think straight when that's going on? You can't. That's the whole point. It works. I don't think narcissists go around thinking, I'm going to put you in a state of cognitive dissonance and keep you there, right? I think they do once they know what's going on. Sure, they know it creates it and they don't care. All right. But I think it's just the natural effect and why it's so effective so that all they have to do is gaslight you and it works, right? They don't maybe know why it works or maybe they do. It doesn't matter. What matters is you know why it's happening so that you can when you feel it learn to step out of it. And we'll talk about that. So stick until the end if you can. I'm going to keep this short today. Stick until the end where I will have some ideas of solutions to help you. Make sure you watch all the way. It'll be at the end. All right, where we talk about how to help you and areas to go and things and resources. Okay, so let's keep going. So with cognitive dissonance, have you ever noticed that when, like, say you've left a toxic person, or you have the silent treatment going on, or something where you're apart from them, and then you start feeling this heightened emotional state for whatever reason. You want to reach back to them, or you're away from them for a long time, and you have something happen that puts you in a heightened emotional state, unrelated even to that person. Have you ever noticed how that's when your brain is more muddled with this cognitive dissonance? That's because that's how cognitive dissonance works. It is sort of a byproduct of that heightened emotional state that makes this confusion even more difficult to see outside of. Okay, and also when you okay, so cognitive dissonance. There's so much to say about this. That's why I'm kind of jumping here, but this whole thing of cognitive dissonance is that it is a defense mechanism. It's an emotional defense mechanism from living in a confusing world, from living in a conflicted environment. You have, we're going to talk in a minute about how the narcissist, the manipulation that the narcissist uses that creates the cognitive dissonance. But you'll be able to just kind of like hold this thought of it is a defense mechanism against these. It's a defense mechanism to keep yourself safe from the things that are going on within the relationship. The problem is once you're away from it, it's no longer needed and we don't know. We don't know to let it go. And it's very difficult to let go because you've got trauma bonding, you've got your emotions, you actually care about this person, you've got all kinds of confusing things going in to make it more and more and more huge in your life. Okay, but there are ways out and we get out. So have faith. We'll talk about that at the end. Let's keep going with how does the narcissist do this? How did this even happen? Why in a relationship where you're just trying to be in love or have a parent or have a friend or have a boss is this even happening? How and why? Okay. So one thing is the narcissistic cycle of love bomb and devalue, love bomb and devalue. We're going to mix two thoughts here. That combined with intermittent reinforcement. Okay, so you got the love bomb and the devalue cycle happening, and you've got it happening. Oh, that got really bright. I'm sorry. You've got it happening at random times throughout. Let's see if I scoot back. It was better. Nope. You've got it happening at random times throughout the course of any given time period, right? It's not like at 4 o'clock they do one thing, at 5 o'clock they do another. No, it's just all over the place with timing. So they may love bomb you for 3 weeks and then devalue you out of nowhere for another 3 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks, and then start giving you breadcrumbs and then love bomb you and then devalue you. And it's all random, right? That creates a confusion. What does that create? It creates a defense mechanism in oneself to people please, to try and make things better, to work on yourself, to blame yourself. All those thoughts that go into this create the conflicting thoughts. There's a bad thing happening. It must be my fault. That I should do things to fix it. All of the thoughts that go on there, in contrast to the knowing brain that goes, this person is not being reasonable. They're not actually saying anything that makes any sense. Everything they say feels like a flood of information that has absolutely no basis. What's going on? So your cognitive brain knows that gaslighting is completely whacked, right? It's like, what the heck is that? Your feeling brain The feeling part of your mind is saying, well, that doesn't make sense because it must be me because they're telling it's me. And so it's believing the pieces of you and your feelings are believing the gaslighting. Boom, you go into this state where one part of your mind thinks one thing, one part of your mind thinks another. And then to stay safe, we go numb, we freeze. We'll go into the signs of it in just a second. But the things that I'll talk about in a minute, the signs of it start to happen. Okay, so let's go on. Another way, well, I just said it, gaslighting. It is setting you up to disbelieve your reality. That's the whole point. Okay, that is the whole point of gaslighting. And it is a major narcissistic tactic of manipulation. Anytime they need to not take accountability, anytime they want to get away with something, anytime, just for no reason, they gaslight, right? So with lots of videos on gaslighting. For more information on gaslighting, check out some other videos on here. I have a lot of videos on gaslighting. So keep going. I said the intermittent reinforcement. So when they're doing these things, gaslighting you, projecting, blame shifting, love bombing, devaluing, when they're doing all these things, they're not doing it regularly. I just made a video on intermittent reinforcement and how it affects the trauma bonds. It's got a lot of good info, so go check it out because it will help you to understand why that piece is so manipulating, okay, and why it so affects us both in our chemistry of our brain and in our emotions and all of it. Okay, so giving little bits of breadcrumbs, giving the devaluing cycle, all of it randomly in no with no rhyme or reason to it. And then the weird part about it is they will have rhyme or reason. Every birthday, every Christmas, every this, every that. So it's mixed in with constancy. And then there's this intermittent reinforcement, it's not reinforcement, um, reinforcement, intermittent devalue, right? It's just so random. So that's confusing. It's super confusing. It really, really feeds into this cognitive dissonance feeling. And you can just see obviously why that would happen. You don't know whether you're coming or going. And so to defend yourself, our brain goes, well, it must be us. So basically, one big clue that you are in a state of cognitive dissonance is you've got someone doing something to you that feels unfair, that feels wrong. You're sad, you're hurt, you're feeling like there's manipulation happening and you're justifying it. That is a huge clue. We can do that for a second, like a hot second. Through self, so we go beyond self-awareness and self-observation, which is important. We need to be able to step back and go, is this me? Wait, what am I doing here? What did I do? And then go, oh, this is so not me, right? And the problem is you can't because everything's coming at you from every direction all the time with a narcissist. So if you are justifying someone else treating you badly, you are probably feeling and experiencing cognitive dissonance. All right. Okay, let's see. What I want to say here, signs of cognitive dissonance, and then we'll talk about at the very end things to do to help yourself to get your head clear. Okay, so extreme self-doubt, these are signs of cognitive dissonance. Extreme self-doubt, it's you don't know whether you're right or wrong. You doubt every move, you doubt every choice, every decision, every relationship, your own place in relationship, even with yourself. Okay, another one is second guessing those decisions. So you make a decision, you doubt it, and then you second guess, I should have done something else, I should have, second guessing. Constantly apologizing. Yes, this is also a trait of codependency, but sometimes codependency is partially because you're living in such a state of cognitive dissonance because maybe you had toxic parents and you've been in a state of cognitive dissonance your whole life, right? So working on this piece can sometimes help that. Sometimes the going at the constantly apologizing and just stop doing it and using I have a thing where instead of saying I'm sorry, say thank you. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for being patient. Thank you. Thank you for the thing I'm acknowledging that I did. If you did it, and if you didn't do anything, don't apologize. It will feel really uncomfortable because you are in this cognitive dissonant state of mind where you doubt yourself and think, other people are okay, you're wrong, when actually sometimes it's the other way around, right? Um, but it helps you to see things differently. So anyway, keep going. Another thing is going back to a toxic partner, parent, boss, whatever it is. Going back to that person over and over again when you totally know with your mind what's been going on. When you totally know that you have been manipulated, you're being gaslit, all of that, and going back. When you've been hoovered. You've been hoovered and you want to go back. My friend, you are experiencing cognitive dissonance in that moment. That's what it is. It is partially you're trauma bonded. So you have, again, lots and lots of videos on here and everywhere else, but I talk a lot about the way cognitive dissonance affects your body, your brain, your chemistry, and the way it feels. Okay, so go watch those. There's a lot of them here, and there's a whole playlist for them. So go watch it if you need it. If you don't know what I'm talking about here, okay. But besides just the trauma bonding, you're in a state of cognitive dissonance if you are going back, if you're falling for a Hoover, because that's exactly the point of the Hoover, right? It's to totally confuse you. It's like you're hit between the eyes with a ball of confusion. And you're like, what do I do? Well, clearly I can't trust my decision, so I should listen to them. It must be me, it's not them. They've changed. There's hope. Listen to how nice they sound. Listen to how persuasive they are, whatever it is, right? And we're gone because trauma affects the way we think, and the way we feel, and the way we react, and we have to learn to heal from it in order to be able to experience cognitive dissonance and know you're in it and not fall for it, not go into the thing that hurts us. Okay. Um, so the next thing is a misplaced hope. This is kind of similar. We have a misplaced hope that this other person, this toxic person, will get better. After a certain amount of time, and it doesn't take that long, you can realize people aren't willing to change. And your mind knows it. You can see it in other people when you read on boards, when you're in group, like people in the group coaching see it all the time and listening to other people, right? But in themselves, well, there must be hope for this one, right? Right? And I'm not laughing. I'm just saying we all have felt that, right? We've all experienced that. So that's another sign. Indecisiveness, kind of talked about that already. Feeling something is wrong with you. You're the problem. Sure, once in a while we might be, but most of the time when we're talking about this type of a relationship with a narcissistic person, you've been taught to believe you are in the wrong. That is a form of gaslighting that sets up a cognitive dissonance about what you know about yourself to be true and what you think about yourself and how you act. Totally manipulated into believing that. You're in a state of cognitive dissonance if you think you're always wrong. Something's totally wrong with you. Okay. Um, okay, this is a big one, and I talked about it a little already. You recognize the lies. You recognize the manipulation. You recognize the toxic person. You even go so far as to label narcissist. Okay. Label meaning we can't diagnose them. We are not professionals who can diagnose, and we are not talking to that individual person if we are. Okay. So, assuming we are labeling narcissism because that is all we can do, right? We can look at the traits and we can label the behaviors. And then we can move beyond it and just get away from it. But okay, so recognizing that you see all of it, you see everything, you recognize it, and at the same time you start justifying it. Well, they had a hard childhood. Well, I can see why they would act this way because, well, I did do this and that. Well, that other person did do this or that. Well, they had no choice but to blah blah blah, right? So, yeah, you recognize it and you justify it. We all do it when we are talking about narcissists. So, that means we are in a state of cognitive dissonance. Okay, you guys, when you're there, don't trust your heart. It is not a time to say trust your gut, because your gut is all mixed up with, well, you can't even get to when you say trust your gut, I'm talking about intuition or that deeper knowing. Okay. But do you hear what happens to the deeper knowing? The deeper knowing is kind of tied to the cognitive, it's kind of tied to the ability to step back and see the big picture. When you are in this, you are so close, you cannot see past it, right? It's right here. You can't see past it. You're in it. You're feeling it all. And when you feel this conflict, a way to work with this, and here we are at the end, like I promised, we're going to talk about how to help. Okay. How to help when you have this. This is a lot. There's a lot of ways to help. This isn't a quick fix. This isn't comfortable. And this isn't like, oh, I get it. And you walk away and you feel better. Okay. This is effort on your part. This is knowing you're going to have to go through breaking those trauma bonds, and you're going to have to struggle with yourself a little here, because two parts of you are saying two different things. Okay. So I think looking at what is best for you. You can talk to a good friend, you can talk to a therapist, you can talk to a coach, okay? Group coaching is great for this because you have a bunch of people feeling the same thing or similar things, plus me to help you listen to yourself, ask you the questions you need to hear, or hopefully need to hear, right? To be able to listen to your own head, to your own heart, and separate the two. And not to be told, no, you're right, no, you're wrong, but like to really have thoughtful questions personally asked of you so that you can learn to see yourself. Oh, I get it. I see. Okay, I got it. Right. So if you don't have that, if you don't have a sounding board or someone to turn to, then journal it. Journal what you're feeling on one page and what you're thinking on another, and really look at it. Really look at it. Is like, say someone hoovers. Let's take that as an example. So say someone is hoovering you, and part of you is going, well, it really wasn't that bad, was it? Because that's a cognitive dissonance thought. It really wasn't that bad. And the other part of you is going, oh my gosh, do you remember the stuff they did? Go back and read your list of all the bad things they did. And you go, yeah, I did. I read that, but I still think maybe because there's been like a year between that this person's gone to therapy or something and they've changed. And so you're talking back and forth to yourself like this. And okay, I don't want to go back there, but you're pulling me back there, me, right? And the other me is saying, wait, I don't want to hear those things you're saying. I trust, I feel it'll be better. Okay. At this point, when you know there's cognitive dissonance going on and you know it's related to something that was bad for your life, stop. If you don't have someone to talk to, journal it. This is what I think. This is what I feel. Look at what you think a little harder. Listen to that person. Listen to the part of your brain that is telling you how to stay safe. It is not paranoid. It is not delusional. It is not a confused place. When you look at the things that have happened from this manipulative narcissist and just look at that, and you take away how you feel about them, just look at that. Is that a kind of person you want to feel this way about? Right? So it really is, in my mind, separating the two parts of the mind so that they're not mixed together. Because cognitive dissonance, we have one mind, right? Or we're a person who is experiencing things, right? And it's separating the two parts of the feelings in the head a little bit clearer so that you can see it. Um, so sharing that with others can help. It can help a lot. So get in a support group if you can. Get in the group coaching if you can. Get individual coaching if you need it. Whatever you need to have the validation, the support. It's not validation at this point. This isn't validation. This is self-awareness and self-understanding of what's happening and what you're thinking and feeling so that you for yourself can make your choice in life, okay? It's learning to make those choices from a place of clarity, right? And that's what we're missing when we're in this state of cognitive dissonance. Okay, so another thing that can help is mindfulness. Take each day to do some mindfulness practices, whatever that means to you, whether it's meditation, slow, long, leisurely walks where you observe things, art, creativity, whatever it is that helps you be present to the present time, present moment. And just be yourself for a few minutes. Get out of the thinking and the feeling and the processing for at least 15 minutes twice a day. Okay. And that can help you see more clearly. Change the scenery, get some distraction for a little while, whatever you need to do. Mindfulness and distraction, two different times of day, finding a little distraction, go play a sport, go sing, go dance, go do something active, or go change the scenery. If you're not an active person, go to drive somewhere and look at something different. Go to a grocery store, go do something, right? So that can help get you back in a more clear space in your head. Don't make decisions about a narcissistic person when you're activated and emotionally heightened. When you're feeling that emotionally heightened feeling, you are trauma bonded. You are in a state of cognitive dissonance. Wrong time to be making a decision. The reason you feel like you can't make a decision is because, quite frankly, in that moment, you can't. Okay. And so you've got to step back, calm down, get your brain back online, and start being able to make reasonable decisions from a place of understanding and reason versus this conflicted feeling. Okay. And then one more thing I said here is self love and self care. Really, really important. And all of these things I'm talking about kind of are that. But finding, if you're finding you're there, you're not in a place of self care. You're in a place of confusion. And so giving attention to yourself, bringing the focus back on yourself, bringing the love that you have back toward yourself versus out toward the toxic people can help you learn to carry yourself so you're prepared when you're feeling this cognitive dissonance. And then the very last thing I'm going to say is boundaries. So once you got all this in place, boundaries, when you're dealing with anything related to narcissists, is kind of the tool we have for keeping ourselves safe. And I just talked about that the other day. I just made a video called Boundaries and Staying Safe from Narcissists, I think is the name, but it's or staying away and keeping them out in the future, something like that. It's like 2 days ago. So, or 3 days ago. Anyway, that might help. Boundaries are important. They are what is the line. So when we're in a state of cognitive dissonance and where we're like, I'm so confused, I don't know what I should do. I feel this, I think that. I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it's them. I don't know what's happening. I'm in a fog. The boundary's there and you're like, wait, that boundary, I placed that boundary when I was feeling pretty strong. Why am I way over here? I need to come back to that boundary. So it's a line not only for the narcissist not to cross, but for you not to cross in order to, it's a boundary with yourself. That's not to say you can't push on things that make you uncomfortable in life and learn and grow from them. But when you're dealing with a toxic person, no, boundaries are super important, right? Okay, so that is it for today. If you need anything like coaching or group coaching, please check out the info in the video, in the description of the video. We have a group coaching program, kind of unique, and that it is as low cost as we can make it, and you actually get individual coaching within the group. And it is, I monitor this to keep it safe and to keep it moving, right? So that people are, and that it doesn't matter who the narcissist is in your life, there should be a way to talk and feel heard and feel validation within that group for most people. It's not for everyone, of course, but for most people, if it's something that, would appeal to you, then check it out because I believe in it and I have seen a lot of growth with people and a lot of healing happen in it. So I get a little proud of it, not for myself, but for them because they're the ones doing the work. Okay. So, so there's that. And, check out videos that I mentioned. It's important to get knowledge around this cognitive dissonance stuff, right? Okay, you guys, I will be back tomorrow. I'll be over with Angie actually tomorrow. I may come on here after if I have time. I haven't looked at my calendar yet, so I don't know if I do. If I do, it'll be straight after. But I'll be over on Angie's channel tomorrow with her. That's it. So you take care and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.